Hello and welcome to another episode of Working Title. I'm Ryan Fring with the BitLife Show. Today we talk about our experience, our favorite things that we saw and learned at the 2015 NABShow. There's a lot of stuff, and we made it a short episode, but things that you can check out, and we'll put in the links, are the Blackmagic cameras, the new ones they have. There's a couple different minis, including the mini Ursa, a new 4.6K sensor that gets you 15 stops to dynamic range, which we all need dynamic range. If you get the opportunity, you should definitely go down there, shack up with your friends. That's probably the most expensive piece of it. So join John, Julia, Jeff, and myself as we talk about the 2015 NABShow.
That's the only place we're actually.
And if you want, you could always play this little game right here. This is from Area 61. They're well known.
It's a great
for something.
alien game.
Oh, crap.
So we'll just go ahead and continue here.
No.
Remind me later.
You still have.
No.
Let's just go ahead and practice.
Ryan, little known fact, this episode is actually an intervention.
Yes, this is an intervention. So for the audience out there, Ryan learned how to play craps in Vegas last week when we went to NABShow, and now we have a monster on our hands.
It was great. I was wandering around when we got back to the casino, and John walks up and says, "Hey, that guy's going to teach us craps." So we went back over to the craps table, and then the old guy taught us craps like a ninja.
Did he teach you how to say it as craps?
At 3 in the morning,
Hey,
after being out all day.
I'm already
We
doing
hadn't, we
Two.
went
crap.
we went to Vegas
Damn it.
I think that's why I
for
call it craps.
NAB.
Quit.
So we were busy at a conference, but it was like you can't go and not gamble once. So
Yeah.
and we were super tired, but it was like
It was totally
let's
worth
do
it.
Yeah,
Boy,
it
I'm
was
so
fun.
glad all the gambling I did while we were out. No, I wasn't out there. I was here.
No.
I
was
played
in-
penny
was-
slots
I was right here waiting for you guys to return.
But
right there.
Right here.
You were hosting
Oh, yes.
Backflip Conf.
Pretty sure it was Best Friends Forever Conf.
No. See,
Confo.
that's a very
Confo.
common misunderstanding. It's actually the BFF Confo.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. Best Films Forever.
Backflip is it.
Best Films Forever.
It was
Yep.
hosted by Sylvester Stallone. It was little known. No. We Phil and I hosted the BFF Confo while you guys were out in Vegas. We had equally as much fun and a great panel of people. You guys missed Margot Petit. She was here. Great little up and coming baby director.
What's the name of her film?
Cutest little director ever. I think it was just wah. 6 A's.
Really quickly, just let's do a comparison of all the photos that we took in Vegas and you took here.
Yes.
So just go ahead and roll that. Oh, here we go.
How long does this go
Wait,
for?
keep going, keep dancing. Ready? And
Is our audio still
let's
playing?
no,
Maybe.
maybe. We're looking at the videos, and also we're gonna go ahead and put the strobe like.
This is not a good idea.
If somebody has an allergy to strobes,
Oh, excellent.
they should not watch.
An allergy to stroke.
Like you sneeze when you see a strobe light?
Or you get a seizure.
rash.
Whatever.
I do sneeze in bright sunlight.
different allergic reactions.
We learned that in Vegas last
I
week.
didn't realize strobe lights were an
So,
allergy. Like
for those who don't know,
Hello.
Julia, John, and myself went to NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters, and I'm going to say conference. I don't know if it's NAB. It's NABShow. Sorry, show.
The show.
2015 in Las Vegas last week. It was fantastic.
A
And
week ago today, we were in Vegas, and it was 90 degrees.
That's right. That Monday when we got there was 90 degrees, but then it dropped down to mid
Cold.
60s. I
Yep.
guess it was 80 the second day,
Yep.
but then mid 60s. It was perfect for us. We're used to that cold weather, and it was fantastic.
It was not hot enough
We were able to
Wednesday
sit
and
outside.
Thursday.
We were able to sit outside at an awesome club, the Foundation Room at Mandalay Bay, when the other people couldn't.
The
because they
cold
couldn't
weather
handle it.
drove them inside, and
That's
we got
right.
They did.
seats to ourselves.
So that's the one
Those
thing
weak
that I like
people.
about Las Vegas is just like if you go to like any of the restaurants and everything is just outdoors, everything is open. Like Diablo's is one of my favorite restaurants out there.
What kind of restaurant is Diablo's?
It's a Korean Thai food. No, it's a Mexican like Spanish like very hot.
What
south of the
hotel
border.
casino is it in?
It's not in a casino. It's its own restaurant out on the strip.
What? What is that even? Yeah, we
great.
went to that
It's
sushi
Caesar's.
place.
We went to Sushi, Banshu Sushi Restaurant.
Bacho?
I was a little
Bacho.
jealous about all the sushi.
It was $29.95 all you can eat off of a huge menu. I know. Look at the look on his face.
And it wasn't.
We're
to
gonna take you there
clarify,
next year.
It wasn't a buffet. It was all made to order. So
Yeah.
they come up and ask, what do you want?
You want
You
more.
get it, and
Yeah.
he does his like, that's how you make sushi and rolls. So that's, made to order. It was phenomenal.
It's also a very tiny drummer.
Yeah.
We had the urchin.
They tried sea urchin.
Which, you said looked like tongue.
Looks like
Yes.
tongue. I have a picture, so we can put the picture up right now.
Wait,
It
it's
looks
down there.
it's very fibrous, like a tongue laying
It
there.
looked-
But then it tasted fine. What'd you think?
Tastes like an oyster.
Yeah.
It was like a smushy oyster.
That sounds
Thank you
so
so much.
appetizing.
It looked nasty. It looked.
It did look kind of gross, and it was seaweed on the outside, which is
Yeah.
not
It would
very
have been
typical
better if it hadn't
American.
been the last of about 50 pieces of sushi.
It's like,
I
bring that
think
out
we did have
first.
about 9 or 10 rolls to get our money's worth.
Yes.
Oh, that would not be a problem with me.
Yeah,
man.
it was so good.
When I went out to Los Angeles last year, we went to a sushi place and with Joe, who was on here,
Yes.
episode 3, 4.
Click
something
here.
Like that.
Yeah.
Click
Subscribe,
here
favorite,
for that
like.
episode.
There it is.
Oh, there's so much work I have to do on this episode.
You can see.
Uh,
We actually have a monitor of ourselves, so
can-
we can maybe better gesture to things like Julia's head. I guess I wouldn't need help to gesture to Julia's head because I can see it with my own eyes.
Right
so.
here.
Where's Ryan? No, but
continue.
when we went out to Los Angeles, we went to a sushi place. That was amazingly enough. It was a restaurant attached to some random hotel. Actually, a hotel that's right across the street from the former location of the Scrubs Hospital, where the hospital was that they actually filmed the show Scrubs.
Oh wow.
Because it was a real legit hospital at one point that they filmed in. The
Okay.
entire production was in that. Well, across the street from it was this hotel. They've since destroyed the Scrubs Hospital because they no longer film Scrubs. But this hotel and this restaurant was this sushi place attached to it. It was some of the best sushi in the world. And we had like 6, 7 just rolls, like plates of roll. We just kept bringing food through 2 bottles of sake.
Oh yeah, we went
yeah.
through
It was a
many
great evening.
bottles.
And then proceeded to walk to the bar 2 blocks away
Nice.
to continue.
How long did
Yeah.
it take you to walk then with that much sushi to 2 blocks?
I don't know, like 6 days.
You probably could have
I'm
swum
still
really
walking,
well.
actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
you get
could've.
superpowers when you eat fish.
I
Yeah.
could. It's
Isn't that
totally.
right?
It's like brain food, right?
Yeah, totally.
That's the superhero
It's
origin
the-
story. It's the fish man.
And chemicals.
It's the omega 3.
Oh, that's it.
Oh,
That's it.
fatty acids. Yeah, but take them in pill form because if they burst, I guess it's really nasty, like really fishy. Like it's fish oil.
It's fish oil.
So
Yeah.
So Endeavor.
somebody's had them burst.
So Ryan and how would you describe NABShow?
How to describe NABShow? It's weird. People are asking. It was my first time to Vegas. I don't know about you, but it's such an interesting experience because there's lots of just average people. We're just average people. So you go to an exceptional place and lots of average people. So there's something welcoming in that. But then it's just freaking batshit crazy. With all the things that Vegas has. You're walking down the street and you see that, and you have to deal with that.
Like that 70-year-old man wearing a banana sling.
Yeah, and the people clicking the cards.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to? And
We
so
collect. We
skeezy.
collect the cards.
It's so skeezy. Like, no,
we go
just
through
don't
like,
talk
thank
to
you,
me.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, and then kindling.
Yeah, and it's so sketchy. But a lot of great restaurants, and
I
I
have
imagine.
Monica. Who do you have? Sorry.
Would you
I've
say
been
that
there.
because that's my wife, or? Awkward.
Well, I'm done. See you guys
Awkward
later.
panda.
Yeah, tell Amanda to burn the card.
Amanda's
Amanda?
burning cards for. What is happening here, Jeff? There's all the things. All the wires have crossed. There he goes.
His
No,
ears
come
are
back.
turning super red. Look at his.
You'll have to color correct.
Well, I had to color correct Julia's face first,
Right.
so I got to color
Now-
correct mine.
Yep.
So then the NAB show is fantastic because it's a bunch of similar people. It's a bunch of production people, and obviously there's a bunch of broadcast business people with their special areas and parties and things. But it's just a bunch of us and a bunch of normal producers and content creators coming together to see the latest technologies and softwares and trends. And then trying to be sold stuff for unknown costs. That's the most annoying thing.
Yeah.
You're like, how much does it cost? Well, it depends. No, just like, tell me, a bottle of water. You're selling some kind of, packaged product. You should be able to give me some kind of price.
Yeah, I mean you're at a product show, and there were a lot of booths. I mean like Blackmagic, which we're very interested in because we use a lot of Blackmagic cameras.
Yeah.
They had prices on their cameras. So you could see like, this new one is
Right.
$9.99
That's right.
or whatever. But some of the ones were like, oh yeah, well we got to configure it for you, and I understand that. I guess I sympathize with that because that's how we run our business. But I just feel like it's different when it's like, no, you have a product. Like I don't even
Right.
I don't even
You have
understand
something that
what
comes in a
this is.
box that's manufactured and repeated over and over. Right. But yeah, like Blackmagic was fantastic. We'll talk a little bit about what we were excited about, and then maybe what you saw or heard from us, and what Julia did. But
That's the only thing I
Just
have to
to-
contribute to this episode.
To understand the scope of the size of this show, though, like the Las Vegas Convention Center, I think they said it was over 1 million square feet of exhibits. So
Oh, yeah.
it's and
it,
then
it
with
felt like it
it did
on
like
the feet.
on the feet.
walking
My feet
around.
were sore. And then within the so it's like NABShow, and then there's like 8 conferences going on underneath that. So there's all these different tracks you can take and different things you can do, and that also was like it was overwhelming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure whether there would be a lot to do having not. So Ryan and I got the the base exhibitor pack.
For $25.
Well, yeah, we got a code and
Coupon.
but we got the base.
Who got you
package.
that coupon code?
Julia,
Facebook, I
Julia
think.
got the
It
code.
was on Facebook, wasn't it?
It was on Facebook. I found it on Facebook.
She found it on Facebook.
Julia did it. That's what she does. That's her job.
That's what I do. I do things,
Make things possible.
making
But yeah.
dreams come true.
I mean, even despite
One
not
coupon
having,
code at a time.
That's right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
even despite not having the all access pass or whatever, like there was still a ton to do, and like all the booths had things going on and speakers, and like Adobe's booth had stuff going on all day. They had a huge stage area, and many people that we follow online. Andrew Kramer from Video Copilot was there.
So
and
Ryan Connolly?
Connolly.
Yep.
From
And Freddie Wong came and spoke. The
Quarter
guys,
Digital.
Corridor Digital.
I just
was-
want to go and see those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I would do. I'd spend
Well,
the entire time there. Just like,
I
this
think,
is
John, you had said you're like, I could just hang out at Adobe all day.
Yeah,
So, like,
there-
to know that you could go
That'd
and
be
just
so
be like,
cool.
hang out at Adobe and
we
get so
didn't-
much
We
content.
didn't really realize that. We
Yeah.
we thought that they would be product demos, and there was some of that. Adam Levine.
Jason
From
Jason-
Maroon
Jason
5.
Levine.
Sorry, Jason Levine. Yeah, stupid TV. Jason
Maroon 5?
Levine.
Sorry.
Jason Levine, the Adobe personality who demos all the products. So he was there, so it was kind of cool to see him there. But that's what we thought a lot of it would be, is just, hey, here's our new thing, buy our new thing. But then it was, and Devin Supertramp.
Oh, yeah.
I use Adobe Suite on my laptop, and this is how it works, and it's awesome. And then Freddie Wong and Quarter Digital, and
To get that
you know.
like first person usage.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah,
That's
to
not
see-
the people from Adobe, but
Right.
it's like no. I like it'd be like us going, being like, no, we use it for all of this stuff that
it
we
would
do.
be like us going.
Yeah. Adobe.
Except Julia didn't look.
Adobe.
It's okay. I'll digitally.
You can do it again. Run
You
and
know,
do it
if I
again.
had that Morph Cut,
Yeah, there it is. I think I'm back.
Yeah, just tie it together. Tie those clips together.
I'm going to continue to tie Morph Cut into the show to reiterate, why am I here?
Right.
Hashtag Morph Cut.
Hashtag Morph Cut.
So there is lots of that stuff too, which is fantastic. The whole production world, which you did,
Yeah.
And I'm a little jealous that we didn't get to do any of that, but I don't know how you can do it all. So I think we just have to send some people to different things. Like next year, get you into production world as well,
Yeah,
and,
that'd be cool.
and see
Yeah.
how much of that you want to do again. Because I think a lot of it too is seeing people who are doing it and finding out how they're doing
Yeah.
it. They teach, or they're training courses or whatever, but it's really just seeing professionals do things in a professional manner that I think is most helpful.
And I think networking, like everyone was really, really nice. As again, not having not gone, not know, and everyone was super friendly and helpful and wants to be on your podcasts. And I mean, they had a whole conference, I think, on podcasting, kind of like the new, and looking back at all of those, I think I would enjoy taking those too. There was so much that you could learn
Yeah,
about.
that was the New Media Expo, and I think maybe the plans that they have or the tracks need to be reevaluated because you had to get the entire Smart Pass
Yeah.
just to go to the New Media Expo,
Right.
which the Smart Pass got you all the conferences,
All
so
of them.
all production,
Right.
All broadcasting,
Creative
not that we care,
Masters,
Creative
right.
Masters.
Yeah, I think next year we'd maybe look into just either like just the Creative Masters, because I think that the Creative Masters series was really inspiring in that it had we had a Walking Dead panel, we had a panel on accurate portrayal of people with AODA and mental health on it, and that was all on the Creative Masters. It was how to get the shot. Was that also Creative Masters? How I got the shot, and they
Yeah,
had
I think
American
so.
Sniper DP there. They had the Grand Budapest Hotel DP there. Those were ones I could not
interesting.
see. But those were all on the
That's-
Creative Master Series track that I think would be, I mean, of the couple that I went to was amazing. I'd love to spend the whole day doing that.
And something else that I saw that just encouraged me and what we're doing, you know, we're here in the Midwest, and there's a certain level of production that happens out here, because when it gets to the next level, people then flee to the coasts or bring people in from the coast or things like that. But it's really cool to see that, you know, even on the coasts, the work that they're doing in film and TV is extremely comparable to the work that we're doing here for, you know, small commercials, web videos, which people in the business world who used to produce commercials are like, well, that just means cheaper, right? And we're like, well, no. Are
Not
you
nowadays.
I mean, are you going to do the same things you would in a commercial? Okay, well, then it's going to cost that minus your ad buy.
Yeah.
Yes. So those are one of those moments where the entire episode just stopped because we all went,
You gotta
thoughts.
have somebody ready to jump in.
I know.
Yeah.
I was there, and then you kind of wrapped it up nicely. And I'm like, nah, I got nothing then.
We'll take it in a different direction. What did you see that we were posting or that you read that got you excited?
Well, I'm glad
like
that you.
Morph Cut.
I'm glad that you guys saw like the Morph Cut, because Morph Cut is the Morph Cut of amazingness. Morph Cut. Hashtag Morph Cut.
Wait, can we Morph Cut this?
No, we can't because it's not out yet.
Not
Wait,
quite yet.
but you can manually Morph Cut, right? I mean, it's just a tool to automate some manual things, is all it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a filter.
Yeah.
You can
just
do
a
it manually. It just makes it easy. Slacker.
A little bit.
Morph Cut.
A little bit.
Jeff and I were talking about this a little bit before NAB because Adobe had announced it, and we were reading a little bit about it. And I was thinking, I'm interested to know like how people are going to actually use this, because I
Yeah.
think it looks really cool. But I wonder, there's too many thoughts.
Like what are the limitations? Like what? Because obviously, like, okay, so for those of you who don't know, like the Morph Cut is basically for when you're editing footage like an interview down, and it's primarily obvious. It looks like it's geared towards that. But when you have like a steady or a lockdown camera and you're editing a footage of somebody talking, normally you're not gonna edit the entire spiel. They're probably like gonna be like an ums or ams, or you're still little things you're gonna cut out of it. So you're gonna have these kind of jump cuts from when the person between takes moves a little bit. The Morph Cut is a transition that applies over those two cuts and actually digitally. What it does, it searches for the face, because this is all part of Adobe's like face tracker thing that they started building into everything, and it'll digitally morph the two cuts together to seem as a cohesive single take. Now, the demo that they were showing on the Adobe video that's on the YouTubes.
Yep.
I love them.
I always do that. That's on the YouTubes is a guy who's kind of standing there fairly still. You know, there is a little bit of movement there. But what we were discussing before you guys went out was, well, what are the limitations? Like, how much movement is too much movement that it just freaks out?
Yeah, how
and
lazy can you be?
Like, is it just going to like rip you apart to get you to the next frame? Because
Hey,
like
that's a new art.
Yes.
right there to experiment with.
and then and in a serious tone, like, can you morph from one person to another? Will it detect, or does it have to be the same?
Will it look like
face?
our children?
Will it exactly? Like if you and John stood next to each other.
For just a moment between the transitions.
Yeah.
That's your kids. But like, will it do that, or will it go? No, it can't. It can't do it. I know you can set like the amount of time that it will look for the duration of the transition, because that's one of the things that it did in the demo. But like, it blows my mind, because I know from an editor's point of view, I've had to cut a lot of interviews where there's a really good part at the beginning, there's a really good part in the middle, there's a really good part at the end. That's all of the answer to a question. But there's a lot of like pauses or gaps in the middle, or they may stray briefly, on this topic. It doesn't really work for the overall thought that they're trying to get out. And then they come back and you make those cuts, and you have to rely on B-roll
Right.
in order to cover those cuts. Or you have to cut to another angle, or if you don't have another angle, you have to rely on the B-roll then.
Right.
So that Morph Cut tool will if done correctly, and if it will work as well as it looks like it's going to work, would really, really improve those cuts. You don't have to cut to another angle. You can just stay on that camera angle, just of the person talking for a little bit longer, just to get them through that thought. And then you can cut away from them. So I was so excited for that, and I'm glad that Adobe had it out there. And I'm assuming it must be like June, because I think CC 2014 came out in June. of
really?
last year.
Oh, hopefully it's another version and installs all the new softwares, and then you have to keep or get rid of the old ones because that's helpful.
Because that's always helpful.
Yeah.
So, did you guys see Morph Cut in use at NAB?
Yeah.
Okay.
Adam Levine, I think.
Adam Levine from Maroon 5
Yeah,
did it?
yeah. Well, he was like, yeah. And that's how he came out on stage.
There's a
Why
lot
didn't
of,
you tell me? I would have
there-
gone
there-
there.
Jason Levine.
Can you please tell me never to do that again?
Never do that again.
There's a lot of time-saving things though that Adobe's been working on. So
That's
like,
just one little thing, by all means. I geeked
Yeah,
out about Morph
yeah.
Cut. There's more.
we sent you a video of the character animator.
Oh, yes.
Which is like another face tracking, another face tracking tool, but allows you to animate a animated character to your face. And,
Right. You
move
come in
around.
from
In
Illustrator
real
or
time.
Photoshop. Yeah.
Which is brilliant,
Yeah.
mind you. And that's the thing. That was the thing is that's when I realized that Adobe basically developed a face tracker like algorithm and then went, what can we do with this? Like I feel like that's almost the way that they went.
Right.
Because the Morph Cut utilizes the face. It showed a face tracking just the actual
system,
face tracker
whatever it was,
system.
yeah.
So that way you could like blur people's faces or you can motion track stuff onto their faces. And I'm like, oh
yeah, because they showed the sunglasses or whatever
yeah,
in the video.
And I'm like, okay, so you guys developed a face tracking algorithm, and now
Right.
you're just applying this new feature, this new thing to all these other.
Right.
And it's cool that they're doing it.
Yeah. I guess the biggest thing that I'm excited about, Morph Cut's neat. It's a very specific application.
Yeah.
Right.
I geeked out because I've needed
yeah,
it
because you
before.
need it all the time. I'm most excited. Premiere is going to get more of the themed editing workflow. So you'll have different instead of
Jeff is
like
very
different
excited.
windows and what are they called, workspaces.
Yes.
They'll actually give you, here's your edit tab, here's your color tab, here's your, I forget the tabs that they showed, but more like DaVinci or more like these programs that actually came from more of a simpler functionality, whether it was what's the ingester from Adobe? Prelude.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think they just had the ingester, but then they added a little edit feature for your producer, and then there's two tabs. There's like ingest and edit. Same thing with DaVinci. It started off just color, but then it was like, no, well let's do media management and then edit and then color and then exporting. Those are going to be our tabs. Also, the offload app, I believe, from Red Giant. So a lot of these more ingest style apps are like, oh, here's some editing too. Now that Adobe Premiere is becoming better at color and better at just everything else along those steps, it's cool to see that now you have those different just workspaces as a more integral part of the interface. So you can switch from edit, okay, I'm editing, blah, blah, blah. All right, now I just want to switch over to color, go to color. Which as before, I don't think they actually had color. I mean, they did have color, but it just wasn't as finely tuned for doing the color work in your space.
Yeah, you had to make your own custom workspace,
Yeah,
which is
essentially.
I have one that's kind of color based, and then I have one that's my editing based,
Right.
and you have to flip it between that. This seems to be a lot better. Plus, you make a comment. They're integrating. Premiere's also integrating a lot more of the color correction tools.
Right, some of the
Lumetri.
Lumetri.
That,
Yes.
yeah, which that also looked awesome.
Yes.
I might actually be able to do color correction.
Yeah. Well, and part of the nice thing too
Our
is that
clients
we
don't
can
watch these videos, right?
we can hand you
I do
some
'em
color
really
correction,
well.
and
Yeah.
you can integrate that better, and then just do some secondary or
yes.
you just do the correction, and we hand you a grade or something to put on
Right,
top of that
to put on top of it.
give some style. So
Yep.
that's another great thing coming
You
down
can
the pipeline.
share like. Then they were talking about like the app, the Adobe. What is that? The CC app for
The
your
Candy?
phone, or the Candy? Yeah,
Yeah,
that you
it's-
can like take color spectrums
Right.
in the real world and then upload that to your like cloud account, and then that will sync into your Premiere account, and you can use those color spectrums as a LUT.
That
as a
sounds
LUT,
pretty
as a lookup
fancy.
table. Yeah, so you could
Julia-
you could
Wow.
take a picture of a
Julia
sunset.
could create a LUT.
Yeah, you could
Using your phone.
be in LA taking a picture of a beautiful sunset over the ocean and say this looks really cool, and then the next time we do something, you say I want it to look like that.
Yeah.
And you just send us that data, and
And
we
it'll-
could make it look like
Nice.
that.
Oh, it looks so cool.
Yeah,
Very
again,
cool.
you could do it all manually, but there's years of training in there to figure out how to tweak the mids and the blue and the orange,
To get it to look
in the
that
shadows
way.
to make it look like a sunset. So those are some of those
Nice.
tools that just help you out and get you a little bit further.
No more training.
That we're excited
No
about.
more
Yeah,
training.
I mean, pretty much we don't want anyone to
Anybody-
be training.
Anybody can be an editor now, is what
Yeah.
I'm hearing you guys tell me after NAB show
Yeah.
Which makes me be ultimate editor.
We're hiring a
of
crew.
the universe.
Well, of the
We're
universe.
hiring a crew of
Mr.
soccer dads.
Editor.
I mean,
to
but realistically, all the tools are there now, so the consumer can jump in and get doing it, and within a short amount of time, be a YouTube star.
Yeah.
Be creating great content with great tools, and they're able to do that because they've put it down to a level that the masses can afford, and it can still be it's way better. Our technology is way the phone nonlinear systems are better than the first nonlinear computer, Avids and things like that. Obviously those are a lot bigger and fancier, and it looks cooler when you're with a client. But just as powerful of tools can be gotten now on an iPhone. So
I can
it's amazing.
print off a little sticker that says Avid and put it on the outside
That's
of my machine.
you
Yes.
could.
We should probably
You should
And
do
you
that.
did.
I
You
can
did.
I
It
can
was-
I did. And I also renamed the shortcut icon to say Avid with the Adobe P still there. But it's like
Oh
no,
man,
the P
you're
is
gonna
silent.
get a cease and desist or something. Be like, that just feels dirty. Like, just stop that. So you mentioned Blackmagic. I want to touch on them real quick
Yeah.
because they had a bunch of fantastic hardware. We have the Pocket here, the 4K there. This is our first one over here with John and Jeff. It's the Mark
beauty
II.
camera.
That's Canon. Canon had a bunch, but not as exciting to us. But Blackmagic, what did they have? What was exciting to you that you saw?
Blackmagic announced their Ursa minis, which are cool.
It was the year of the Mini, right?
this big.
No, not quite that one. So there was a mini camera.
Yeah, I can understand your confusion.
There
Because
was
they
a-
released 3 mini cameras.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There was a
No,
Blackmagic
they were hanging up on the wall.
a true like mini camera for use on drones and
Yes.
stuff.
Oh,
Like
It was a
I was
tiny-
trying to figure out why you would
There's
want
the,
it that small.
there's the Mini Cinema, which is like this big.
4K sensor
Yeah.
or
Yep.
whatever. And
Are you
can-
serious?
Yes.
It's that tiny with a 4K
Yeah,
sensor?
Yeah. I mean, our Hero has a 4K sensor.
but
an
this
actual
one
4K
also
sensor.
had like detachable lenses. So
Yes, that's
you
the
can-
big thing.
You can use it now. You need a bigger drone than like you can't use like I'm pretty sure you
Phantom.
can't use like the DJI like
Yeah.
Phantom or whatever. You need something
More heavy
pretty
duty.
big robust one, but
Yeah.
you don't need like the crazy ones for lifting a red or something.
Right.
You need like a mid range.
Yeah, like a small octocopter could easily lift that with a lens because
Yeah.
I think it's less than a pound,
Yeah.
but with a lens, it's going to be a couple pounds.
Heavier, yeah.
So there's that, and then there's the other mini, which is the Ursa mini. So last year, Blackmagic announced the Ursa, which is this just big, massive studio camera
Yeah, show it up here.
with 2 iPads slapped on the sides.
Yeah,
Is
one
pretty
for the
much-
audio engineer
the
who
main.
doesn't
pretty much
care,
what they did.
and one for the camera operator or DP who doesn't need a 8-inch screen.
Going to use
or-
their own
That's
monitor
nuts.
that they like anyway. or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
but-
Slap a small HE or something.
So,
on there.
so they announced the
Yeah.
Ursa Mini, which is a smaller form factor, which I think is nice for modern production.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just you kind of, especially like documentary stuff, you want to, be a little smaller. The Ursa's big. I mean, it's like a studio camera. The one downside of the minis is that you can't upgrade them.
Right,
So
right.
the Ursa is kind of built to compete with the Red. So you can take, different pieces apart. You can upgrade the sensor. You can upgrade the internal stuff. The minis are just what they are, but they are like half the cost. I don't know. They're like
Right.
$4,000 or something for like a
The-
4K.
I think it's $3. It might be $3,000. We can look it up real quick. But
maybe
I think it's $3,000 for the 4K.
and then like maybe 5-ish for
For the
a
4.6.
4.6K.
But that's
Yeah.
still not really.
Raw,
I mean, is
like-
that
No,
that
it's-
expensive?
no,
or is that
not at
fairly
all.
cheap? Right?
No, not at all. And the 4.6K. So this is the new sensor that they built too. This is the first sensor that they built in house. The 4K they got off the shelf, which is actually the same as the Alexa. So
Okay.
the Arri Alexa, which everyone freaking loves. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Everyone loves the Alexa, and they're like, oh, the Blackmagics have a purple dot when you look at the sun. Okay, first off, look at the sun. You're gonna deal with it. You're gonna roto that or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, the Alexa has the same sensor, different processor, but same sensor, so it has the same problem. But the 4.6K sensor, this is the first one that they've actually developed, so they're able to actually get now 15 stops out of it, whereas the previous 4K in RAW, I believe, is 13 stops. So you get an extra 2 stops. That's going to help you with your shadows.
So leave your gaffers home.
Yeah, you don't need
So
lights.
what we've
you know,
what we've established so far is you don't no longer need editors. You no longer need gaffers. What point are the directors not necessary?
Oh, I think directors will
long
always
ago.
be needed.
Never.
Along
Oh.
with the producer.
And an editor.
Wait. Yes, I agree with
Job
your
security.
statement.
Okay, so here's some prices. This is just the Ursa, so the full size. The 4K is down $1,000, so it's $5,000. The 4.6K is $7,000, so that's $2,000 more than the old price. But it has the upgraded sensor, so you can continue to upgrade this if you want. I want to find an old Ursa for like $3,000 and upgrade it to the 4.6 because it's only 2K, so you get about $5,000 for all that. Because next year, they're going to have 6K. They're going to have something else. While that's not a format that you will watch things in, it's a great acquisition format.
Well, again, just for going back to like editing and stuff like that, it's always good to shoot at the higher resolution and to be able to have more freedom in the post area to be able to like what we've been doing. Well, we did that for a couple of these episodes,
Right.
But for what we do for like a lot of interviews and be able to shoot at a higher resolution, shoot at a 4K, and then that gives you freedom to do slow move-ins or reframe the shot, or you just have more. You have more flexibility when it came to the editing side of it.
I watch everything in 6K. I don't know what you're talking about. I like to watch with my eyeball touching the screen. So.
And being like,
Have you seen
colors
there's-
are amazing?
There's phones that do
David
record in
Tennant was
4K and you can watch in 4K. But I think the distance you'd have to be is about, I don't know, an inch
Touch it.
to
touch
tell
it
the
to your
difference
eyes.
between 1080 and 4K on
Yeah.
that. So that's just ridiculous.
Well, and I feel like there's a point, and this is kind of off topic, but with the 4K, I feel like there's gonna be a point where they're gonna just stop, because like how
Right.
much closer to reality are you
Right.
going to get, like
Yeah.
beyond like 4, 6, or 8K?
Pretty
like,
soon we're going to be going to movie theaters and there'll be actual people up there like acting it out, and then
genius.
there'll be music will be live.
I like where this is going.
And,
yeah. That'll be like infinite resolution.
You are
is what that is.
ahead of your time,
Yeah.
sir.
And then we'll have to have binoculars with like, really good resolution.
It'll be
as
so
well.
expensive.
Only if I can be there going, oh yes, this show is quite excellent, as an old British lady.
And then they'll call it just the theater,
Yes.
I think.
Instead of movie, they can drop the movie.
TRE. Yeah.
Oh, so it's
no
a
more movie.
foreign
So keep
Theatre,
an eye out.
yeah.
Technology.
French.
shoppy.
That's technology for you.
I feel like we just
And,
developed a short.
And then they had one more camera for studio, so you can control it's the same exact mini that you can get for cinema stuff, but different sensor, but you can control the whole thing, start, stop, change your ISO, change your color, zoom, and focus your lens all from back on the board.
And being smaller, they were just showing you could put it in more places. So like at a concert,
Right.
you have it mounted to a drum set or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's not like in anyone's way.
Yeah. So we could talk all day about technology, but I want to talk to you,
Sure.
Julie, a little bit
Okay.
about what you did.
Sure.
You had the Smart Pass.
I had the Smart Pass.
You did Production World. You schmoozed.
I schmoozed.
You were hanging with the.
got to hang out with,
what is it, the
AGC.
CEO of
the
AMC.
CEO of AMC.
President.
On Monday, I went to the television luncheon, which I had to look. I want to make sure I give credit to all the proper people. So the reason I had gone was to see Shonda Rhimes, who is the creator, writer, and my favorite human being in the world of Scandal and Grey's Anatomy. Now, what's interesting is that what Shonda is known for is creating diversity in her casts, in her writing. But one of the other things that's interesting is she is one of a handful of people who have, as an executive producer, an entire television slot of television shows. So she's got Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, and How to Get Away with Murder. And she's in
I didn't
company
realize she
like
created How to Get Away
she's
with
the executive
Murder.
producer. So she's in a class along with like Dick Wolf from Law and Order,
She's like a Chuck Lorre.
Chuck Lorre.
Nice.
Aaron Spelling,
Okay.
and Mary Aaron Sorkin. So she and like the only female to do that. So I think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So they gave her an award.
A good person to learn from.
Yes,
right?
an excellent person to learn from. And she gave, actually, it was really cool when she got up and gave her speech. She thanked Betsy Beers, who is her producer, for basically managing all of it so she can like write. Because she's like, although I do all the writing and I'm with my writers, these shows get made because of Betsy, and I couldn't do it without Betsy. So I thought that was really, really cool. And the other thing that Shonda talked about, she goes, they always ask me to speak about race, and they're like, what you did by having a racially diverse, not just even racially diverse, just you name it, is on Grey's
diverse
Anatomy,
cast.
diverse
Yeah.
cast. And really interesting storylines. They're like, you were like an innovator. And she goes, I didn't think about like breaking barriers as much as I thought I'm actually just being a human being. And what everybody on the panel talked about really is why television is so exciting right now for people who really like TV. And I think that's where I get drawn to it, is that television shows these days are really about real people. And so this is where you get to see real people. And then the Walking Dead panel was the next day. And I remember one of the women who came up and asked the question about the Walking Dead is that it's about human beings who are put in really, really awful situations and what you have to do then. And what are you prepared to do to protect your family in sort of a post-apocalyptic world. And that's also about being human. So I heard a lot of those themes actually through the whole show that week is the humanness of television and the importance of maintaining as well the actual free TV. So that's something that the networks are dealing with now is cable and the web and the loss of what that could look like for TV and for certain people who aren't able to afford, the only thing they can afford is television, which I'd never really thought about before in terms of the importance of your network shows or your network channels.
And I'm just the opposite. I would rather, and I do right now. I don't have cable. But I have internet, and I watch everything on internet.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly content with that. Yeah, I miss out on the new shows, the new episodes of them airing right when they air. Yeah. But I'm not one of those to not like. I'm completely content with just watching TV on the internet. It's
some really amazing things that are actually just going on those 4 or 5 network channels, I think.
Yeah. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to compete.
Oh, they have to because they're becoming
obsolete.
Irrelevant. They're becoming obsolete.
TV is just like newspaper.
Yeah.
Or printed material. Yeah. It's slowly, which sucks. It's slowly becoming, it's not going to be needed in like another 10 years unless they do something to kind of try to like revitalize the television or the network. Sorry, network TV, not TVs.
Right.
TVs aren't becoming irrelevant.
So what is part of that argument? It's always kind of tough because you're like, okay, well, if you have money to buy a TV, why can't you do that?
Sure.
Like you try to put these questions to these hypothetical people that you don't have direct contact with, but the internet has TV for free. So you buy a TV, you buy a TV. We're like super sick here. Sorry. So all the coughing. You buy a TV so that you can get broadcast. There's still a barrier to entry. You still have to buy a TV. You can get all that somewhere else for free too, which is the internet, which you can get at the library. You can, you can get for free without, where you can't get broadcast in the same way for free. So did they get into that argument?
Not as much.
I guess I just want to fight.
Yeah.
Get the internet, watch TV on the internet.
Right. I think one, sort of comment that I would make would be that think of all the jobs that are created in television. So if those shows would get made and get transferred to the internet, which some of them do, but if suddenly the networks went away, where would all those people go for work?
See,
Netflix.
I mean, where?
Yeah, it could be. They could go to Netflix.
Where were they before we had TV, right? So there's always things that you can be doing, and certainly to cable. I mean, Game of Thrones, HBO, AMC, all these companies are doing now what the broadcasters did 50 years ago when people had 3 channels. They were doing the biggest, the best shows, but now they're doing it on a slightly different budget and slightly different scale. The
one thing that did come up, I was sitting at the table with actually 2 people from Madison. So there's this giant ballroom full of like 1,000 people, and I randomly sit down at a table with 2 people from Madison, which I thought was really interesting. And then another guy broadcasting. And so one of the things that came up as a concern, and I actually asked the question because I was like, tell me what this means because I don't understand it, is there's an auction going on right now where there's different areas where they're looking to auction off the frequency of the television channel.
Right.
And so from a local perspective, local news could get shut down. So all of these people are waiting on pins and needles to find out if their station will be purchased and if they will have jobs or not. So I wonder about it. And again, this is like sitting at a lunch for an hour, being able to understand this, is that I think it could have an effect a lot more on local news.
Oh, okay.
So ABC will be able to do what they're doing now and throw their television shows on iTunes, or you're going to be able to get them from the library. But local news that people access, like if you're completely happy, if you're happy without cable, but you can still get local news. So some people rely on the local news, those alerts for weather, things like that.
Right.
I think that's the concern, to answer your question
frankly,
in a more eloquent
there's
way.
There's no reason. I mean, obviously, all the politics involved are complicated, and we'll never solve it or understand it fully. But all internet and cable is a different mode. Instead of broadcasting over the air, and just throwing the video out for free, it's going over these different tubes. So you could still have local news. I mean, that's what the YouTubers do, right? Yeah. We're talking about the NABShow, so we're in a sense local news as well. And now all the local news, you go to their website, they have web content that they're putting too. There's no reason that couldn't be done there as well. So I'm still just kind of wondering, aside from big money being concentrated in 6 stations or 6 broadcast stations, what the biggest problem is. And I just keep coming back to maybe the access to internet, which if the FCC is able to actually get it classified as a utility, which they did, and I think it just has to hold up through courts, then everyone will be able to get it at a reasonable cost, just like electricity.
Sure.
So I'm still just trying to put myself in their shoes and try to figure out the argument. They can't have electricity or they can't have the internet, but they can have battery powered TVs and get broadcast.
It's just
I'm trying to think of what the issue is.
It's just changing systems.
Yes,
I mean, the fact that YouTube does have people who are creating only for YouTube. YouTube create content creators that are kind of making a name for themselves, and now you can even purchase some of those, or you can purchase subscriptions to that. You have young people out of high school or right out of college or whatever creating shows that can compete with a network show.
Yeah.
And so what the networks are asking, it's tricky. I mean, I understand they're saying this is our business and we need to keep it going, but everybody's, it's just the world of business. The changing landscape is that they're saying, we have this structure built and we need to make sure that we can continue to employ people under the structure. That may not happen. You may not be able to employ people under that structure forever, the broadcasting networks, but those people will still have jobs because everyone still wants content. Sure. You may have to go somewhere else. You may have to go, eventually, people are going to go work for somebody who runs a YouTube channel that gets millions of views, and you're going to go work as a DP or a gaffer on a YouTube show. Yeah. But you're going to still make an income because people still want that, and there will be a way to monetize it. It's just a shifting industry.
I think that's a fascinating picture just into the mind of the broadcasters, because this is the National Association of Broadcasters show. This is where they get to talk about their concerns, in these groups. And so it makes a lot of sense, especially
they had
what you're talking
a
about.
100-page document that had all their numbers. And so everybody got this big booklet of information that discussed, I think, shares and views and all the analytics that went into this. It was really interesting. And then they had a radio luncheon the next day and something else. And so I was curious, because that was the other thing. There was a whole conference on radio. Don't care about that because I'm not in the radio. But I was curious, what was the radio show or luncheon on Tuesday?
Sure. There was 3 people there.
Right. I don't know.
Everyone had their hams back at the hotel, and they were tuning in.
Getting them going, AM.
Can we all talk about this? Anybody who come in can be part of the conversation.
Big Daddy, the Bigger Daddy. Are you there?
Bigger Daddy, the Pork Patty?
Here, Big Patty. Like hot dogs?
Like hot dogs.
Yeah, okay.
One of the other things I went to that I think brings up this idea of Hollywood. How do you get, the studios will only make certain movies, and you have to know people. And then crowdfunding. So I went to how to crowdfund your film. And so Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Seed and Spark, and things like that. And there was some, I think the best Kickstarter, Veronica Mars was up there, and Zach Braff. And so then there was somebody was so Zach Braff with all his money had to kickstart this. And the woman's like, I hear you. When I first started, she's like, I can tell you this. She goes, Veronica Mars would not have been made. No studio wanted to touch it. And so where you see, I think, this piece of a huge inadequate or imbalance of money that Veronica Mars had to get crowdfunded because Hollywood, studio didn't want to take that on and people had to do it. And then the biggest one was Super Troopers 2
Oh,
just
yeah.
got crowdfunded.
Yeah.
And they made their budget and then some.
And
Well,
you look at like in crowdfunding, and we won't go into deeply because that's a whole section. But like crowdfunding, really, like for like the Veronica Mars, you just said like, well, no studio wanted to make it, and that's very, very true. The thing is like what that crowdfunding does, and a lot of people are complaining about the whole money
Yes.
thing, and oh, well, why didn't they just fund it themselves?
Right.
But you also got to look at that. It also kind of it proves there's interest
Yes.
in the the product in the product. So like by crowdfunding and it making all its money, it proved there's people who will in fact watch this. So if anything, it
And
helps
be a part of something. I was a part of something
Yep.
of creating Veronica Mars,
Yep.
which I think is really cool.
and it helps kind of just prove that okay, we can spend the money on doing this because obviously people want it. If it didn't get any money, you would have never heard about it.
And it is a little different too, because I think I heard I believe it was a podcast with Zach Braff or one of the partners that did their film. Or crowdfunded with their film, I'm very vague. We should fact check this and throw it up there. But essentially, what they were saying is he wrote a movie and wanted to produce it, and then when you bring it to somebody, they're like, okay, we're going to tap, for instance, J.J. Abrams to do direct, and we're going to bring Spielberg in to consult. And I mean, I guess that'd be a dream team, and you'd be like, yeah, just I don't care, do it. But when they want to bring in other people who aren't you and maybe can't, keep your vision together, because they wanted to direct, they wanted to cast who they wanted to cast, they wanted to do it their own way. And it's, it's an artistic expression. And I feel like that's what crowdfunding is about. It's about people joining with you to create something that could otherwise not be created. I think Zach Braff and Veronica Mars are two examples of that, for those various reasons.
Just like the 3D robotics drone.
Yes. Which, with the 4 minutes left, let's talk about
That was a segue there.
the
Can
one
I say
thing that we're going to buy.
quick
Morph Cut.
thing before? The last thing I would say is that there is the other thing I went to is a lot of women in media. There are not a lot of women in media. There were a ton of men there and very few women. And so we need to see more women in media.
Don't be afraid. Yeah.
That's it.
I
There
feel
were
like
also
it's-
women
You
flying
can walk.
drones.
You can walk into all these jobs. I mean, when we had our editor position, we had 10 applicants.
Yes. Don't
and
be
no women.
afraid.
No women. And for whatever the reason that happened, maybe no fault of our own.
We had one woman apply.
Did we?
Yeah, we
you're right.
interviewed
You're
her.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. Never
You
mind.
weren't there.
I
What
wasn't
would you
there.
know?
So
No.
But anyway, don't be afraid. I mean, there are a lot of men, but there's a lot of forward-thinking people who are ready to embrace. I don't want to say
Absolutely.
diversity, but like,
Well, it is. It's true. Yeah.
like anyone who's interested.
Women can do
right?
stuff now.
I mean, it's just it's a very nerdy thing, and women have been told you can't be nerdy. You're not going to be good at math. You're not going to be good at science.
Right.
That's just not true. So don't be afraid. Come apply. We want to work with you and probably put you in front of the camera,
But
because
not
otherwise
like
it looks
me.
like this.
Because
We just hammered down the equipment that was
3D robotics. Because
3D robotics
All right,
drone.
2.5 minutes.
drones were a big deal at NABShow, and we haven't even talked about it yet. Go.
Yes, and
was-
DJI is making their own camera, so you can talk about the 3D robotics. But we were talking to the GoPro guys, and we're like, "What are you excited about?" They're like, "We love the 3D robotics guys, because 3D robotics is designing drones around GoPros."
Yeah, I mean, 3D robotics is, they started with an autopilot thing, and they just said, well, we're not going to invest like the crazy millions of dollars to make our own camera when other people already do it better. So we'll just focus on this, and they've done a great job. They have an app that runs on your phone. You just pop that on the top of the remote control. You can program flight paths, set point A, point B, give it an amount of time to finish that path. You can tell it to run an orbit around an object from a certain radius, things like that. Just a ton of great stuff. And, basically what they were pointing out is that why do you need to have a hindrance to getting the shot that you want? Yeah, it's kind of cool if you learn how to fly these things really well, but if you could just program it in there and run the shot a few times until you get what you want, and you don't have to sit there and fiddle with these controls, that's going to make you better, make you more
Right. It's
creative.
just enabling you to do more complex things, more easy. Like we're talking all this software and all this hardware, all this stuff on your phone. It's also a complete package. You pay $1,500 for the drone and the gimbal, and that gets you everything you need. The video downlink, which on any other drone, you have to buy a separate video downlink for $500, $1,000, several grand, $7,000 for the new Hero one, or GoPro one. It has the app that interfaces with your iPhone or Android or whatever device you have, and also has all the aeronautic meters and data on there already, which with the Phantom, you have to get another little dongle, and that has to plug in, and that has to get transmitted. So it's a more complete package that also gives you an ability to get greater, more steady shots. Like John was saying, they have this cable cam feature where you put 2 points in space. It's all digital. There's no cable. 2 points in space, and give it a time frame and say go, and it will fly that, and you just operate the camera, which you could do. And that's our alarm. We're gonna run out of tape. We have tape.
Because apparently we're all shooting on tape still.
35 millimeter.
Yep.
I was totally using the top, and that's why you couldn't hear it here.
Real expensive film.
But it just enables you to greater success. They're open source, so other people can develop other hardware that goes on it and other software that goes with it. We can design shots and sell them in the marketplace.
Cool. That's
so
cool.
I want to get my hands on it and just do a bunch of shots and just get them out there for $1, and then we'll retire in a year from that.
It's gonna be great.
So we're
I'll
excited
still
about
be
that as
editing
well.
the shot.
I'll still be producing.
It's fine. We'll run the company.
And I'll be relaxing in Hawaii.
We also
with my
John?
drone.
With John.
with your drone.
And with
my
your drone.
Oh, I'll be
You'll
automated.
will
Me,
you
myself,
be-
and my drone.
You'll be on a chair, and then your drone will be.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, let me move the umbrella for you.
You'll be able to
drone."
watch us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say he'll keep sending us footage of from the drone's point of view,
Yeah.
shooting down
Yeah,
at him.
keep working.
there was so much stuff there that at the end of day one, my brain was fried.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
trying to look at like managed media and share solutions like at the end of day one.
I
and
just quit.
my eyes were glazing over. We listened to 10 different spiels on like managed media
Yeah.
and edit stuff, and it was cool, but there's so much, so you definitely got to pace yourself when you go out there. We didn't pack the other days as full, and we just kind of let's go see something and then take a break and then
Yeah.
go see something
Yep.
again later.
A lot more sitting.
Yeah, I was really happy with the amount of sitting that got to happen on Tuesday.
I enjoyed my sitting,
Did you? What was the best
Yeah.
part of Backflip Convo then, Jeff?
getting to eat.
Nice.
Any other closing thoughts about NAB or Backflip Confo or any technologies or lessons learned or
I
words of
found
wisdom?
it, yeah. I think it is worth saving your money and going to NABShow. So
Yeah.
whether you're a student or you're someone in the field, I found it extremely inspiring. And I think it's sort of like you just plan it every year and try to go and maybe skip some smaller things. Not that small things aren't great, but my experience in my old world of conferences, it's always fun to go to the big one. And I wasn't disappointed. I was blown away by it.
And cost-wise, it's awesome. 'Cause
Right.
Yeah.
we paid, after the coupon, $25, but $150 a ticket and did everything. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So get
So
your
I think
friends,
you really, yeah.
drive out there together, have a good time,
Yep.
film it, stay in a hotel together, whatever. Our hotels were like $60, our rooms were $60 a night or something
Depending on,
silly.
there were plenty of cheap options,
Yeah.
cheaper options.
We took the public bus, so that's the other thing. You
Oh,
don't
and
have
it
to
was
rent a car.
phenomenal.
You can take the bus, and we
It
got a
was
great deal on
phenomenal.
bus.
Yeah.
So there's so many.
So
you can do
NABShow.
it. You can do it cheaply, people. Listen to us. You can
Yeah.
do
Scrappy
it.
filmmaking.
You can do it. Independent
you can do
filmmakers.
It. Independent filmmaker. I'm just going to copy you.
You over there.
So, check out the NAB 2016 next year. We'll be there.
We'll be
Maybe
there.
we could do some podcasting there, maybe with you.
Yes.
We'll put some more details in there. Hopefully we show all the Backflip Confo. Maybe in the credits here, we'll roll all those photos by.
Photos and videos.
So the nonsense that they were getting to here in the office while we were in Vegas trying to work
It was
really
fun.
hard.
That was a fun day. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, so thanks for tuning in. Julia, Ryan, John, Jeff,
Yo.
BitLife Show, Troll Blave, Shoe John Maker,
Oh, that's me.
Ryan Fring,
Jules E. Smith.
Jules E. Smith,
Random
and Random Bell. On all
Tweet
the
us.
socials. Yeah, check us out. And if you're creating something, let us know.
Instagram.
We'd love to talk to you and have you on. So we usually have the guest do our sign off, but you should make one up, Steven. What's our sign off?
Make it.
And we'll have Jeff say it. Just go.
Whatever
what is
you
it?
want,
What is
whatever
it?
you want,
What is
do
it?
it.
Go.
I'll say it.
What's the sign off? Now you have to say something.
Any word?
You're so close.
What?
There it is.
See you later.
All right.
Known as Arnold. Arnold. Steven is right.
Well, it's good because we can actually
There, but
pinpoint
you're
where
over there.
the lower thirds are going to be. Marker.
Ooh, the clapper's in my car. The clap is in my car.
All of it? Like,
All of it.
We're not going, I'm not writing in Julia's
In the
car.
back seat of my car.
Never, ever again. You gotta go let him know he doesn't need to get the batteries. Are we recording?
You're just wasting time. Yes, we are.
Spectacular amazing.
Oh.
Thank you, Nathan, or Andrew, or what? Turns out his batteries work.
Thanks for trying. Somebody put it in there like a small child.